Today on our 2008 Chevrolet Silverado, we're going to be showing you how to install the Roadmaster battery charge line kit for towed vehicles. Part number is RM-156-25. Now this charge line kit is really important on these GM vehicles. With the steering wheel lock situation, you have to leave your key on. Even though you turn off the fan, you turn off the air, you turn off the radio, it still drains the battery. This allows us to take power from our red wire that we've got connected to the 12-volt power source on the back of our RV. That goes through a breaker. We've got it connected right here to our positive battery cable. This gives us a trickle charge effect. As we're driving down the road, the battery's constantly getting a little bit of a charge and a little bit of a charge to keep it up and maintained. The breaker is in place to help prevent any kind of overloading. If your vehicle, maybe you've left the radio on or you've left the fan blowing, it's going to be drawing power from your battery, of course. That excess draw will cause this breaker to heat up slightly and disconnect power temporarily until that system cools back down, and it'll make contact again. So it's a very safe and very effective way to charge your battery while you're flat towing. The first step in the installation is going to be to get our breaker mounted. Now the gold stud is going to run to the positive battery source. The silver stud is going to run up to the plug on the front of the vehicle. So you want to mount that accordingly so you can route your wires the way you want to. We're going to be going behind this panel to make our connection. So I'm going to mount my breaker pretty close. Right in there should be okay. Get one of our holes started here. Started, we'll put our breaker on, and we'll put our second screw in the top there. Now we're going to grab one of the smaller ring terminals from our kit and also our red length of wire. We're going to strip the end of that back. We're going to add that ring terminal right on there. We're going to take off the nut that's on the silver stud. Place the ring terminal in behind it and get it secured down. Now we'll start running our wire. We need this to go down towards the plug on the front of the vehicle. I like to use plenty of zip ties to keep everything secured. Just kind of tuck my wire back and out of the way anywhere I can. As we route our wire up here to the front, we just need to avoid any pinch points or any sharp edges that might cause damage. Also any significant heat sources, but other than that, you can really pick the route of your preference. And we can just bring that out the same hole our wiring goes through. I'm going to trim our wires off here, start making the connections to the back of our plug. Now we're going to be using a 6-pole plug. Part number is BX88206. As you can see, this is going to be a 6-pole plug. We need one for ground, one for running lights, one for left turn and brake, one for right turn and brake. So that takes up 4. To add a charge line, you'll need at least one more. To install, we're just going to pull the boot off the back. I'm going to get it slid on there first. We'll strip back each of our wires. I like to give them all a twist. And then looking at the back of our plug, we're going to start right over here. This is about 3 o'clock position. That one's marked GD. That's going to be our ground, which will be our white wire. You see that little set screw? We're going to loosen that up, place our wire in, and then tighten that back down. Next one will be our yellow wire for our left turn signal. Then we've got our green wire for the right turn signal. Depending on your setup, your power will either come through the center port of the plug or through the outside port. In our case, it's going to use the stop signal port, which will be the next one counterclockwise here. So that's where our charge line wire is going to go. Then the last one on the outside, which would be just clockwise from the ground wire we installed first, is going to be our brown wire for the trailer marker, or the running lights on the trailer. Now we'll run a quick test just to ensure that we've made the proper connections. We want to plug in our wiring from the RV. And now in this case, our RV has to be started to provide 12-volt power, so it's going to be a little bit loud with the engine running. But once it's started, we can test at that breaker. If we have power at the breaker before we hook it up to the battery, we're getting proper signal coming through, which will charge our battery for us. Now to test it out, we're going to need a test light. We just want the clamp to go to ground. There's a stud right there to use. And then when you touch this stud, if you get a signal, you've done it right. We're getting the correct signal. We're ready now to connect that breaker to our battery. Now we're going to take the short length of wire that we have left and get both ends of that stripped back. You're going to have 2 ring terminals left in your kit, one larger, one smaller. It doesn't matter which side those go on. Just get one on each end of it. Now this side with the smaller ring terminal goes to our breaker, and that should go to the copper terminal. And I'm going to use this connection point right here. We're just going to pop that cover off, just pull straight out on it. So we've got a nice large stud right there. We're going to use a 13mm socket to remove that. Get our ring terminal placed over top, and then just put the nut back in place. Now we'll use a 10mm socket. We're going to tighten down both of our nuts on our breaker there. And we can pop our cover back on there. That wire can come right out down with that big cable there. And that's really all there is to our install. With everything back in place, that's going to complete our installation of the Roadmaster battery charge line kit for towed vehicles. Part number RM-156-25 on our 2008 Chevrolet.
Thanks for watching. Click the link in our description below to shop, learn more, or visit us at eTrailer.com. And leave us a comment if you have any questions.